welcome back. So this is as we continue on our editing. So I'm editing Apathy. It was the fifth book I've ever written. Technically fourth, but I had to split my third book in two, so that made it. I kind of made this fourth book become the fifth book also. So I'm doing now my developmental editing. I got a lot of the other stuff out of the way. As far as weak adverbs, dialogue. Still some dialogue issues, but I'm not worried about this because I'm going to take care of this at the very end. When I'm doing it, I just put basically you want to use said or asked. You don't want to use muttered or uttered or just anything like that. You just want to keep it simple. When you go in for your last draft is when you're going to start putting in, that's when you're going to start really putting in the creativity, which is where we are now. But right now, so I'm doing my developmental editing. So this is the issue that I came across. This is the 21st chapter, and just to set the scene so you guys understand. The Martinez brothers, Maxwell and Tamaris, and a detective named Ronald, they are checking out this club called Belladonna that's located in Atlanta, Georgia. And it's been around since like the 70s, and it's like still going strong. It's a very kind of provocative club. There's known to be a lot of young, beautiful women there, strutting themselves around in skimpy costumes, right? Maxwell's son, Max, is there, as well as kind of like their adoptive son, his adopted son. It's actually his godson, Nelson, and they were sent in to they were called to come and help them with another guy named Kenji and his girlfriend Promise and her sister Prudence. So they're like runaways. They're teenage runaways. They use Max and Nelson to, kind of lure Kenji in to they're trying to lure Kenji away from danger, basically. And all the girls. So they're at this club. Kenji is at this club because this is where Promise sings at this club. She's not a performer, as in like doing any like pole dancing or anything. She's just a singer at this club. So it's a whole thing behind it. You have to, if you're interested, you may want to buy the book. But so they're in this club and they're looking around. These are older men, right? They're like, let's say they're in their 40s, and they're looking around. And they're like looking at some of these girls, and like these girls look really, really young, like way too young to be in this facility. Now, Maxwell and Tamaris have been dealing with their spiritual warriors, right? So they're on their guard. But somebody like Ronald is not a spiritual warrior. He's a detective. And a lot of these like weird stuff, he doesn't know anything about, her. He doesn't understand. He never grew up in that lifestyle, and he doesn't understand it. So it's very foreign to him. So for him, what he's just seeing is these really beautiful women that are all like, giving him the googly eyes. So he's kind of getting smitten with all this. And Maxwell and Tamaris become alarmed because they're like, all right, we got to get him out of here because he's not, he's not doing this. He's not doing so well. So there's a girl named Oleander. All of the girls are named after poisonous flowers, right? So this girl named Oleander, she in my books, specifically the Endurance series, one of my characters is one of my villains, or the villain. Basically, the main villain is Satan. In spiritual warfare, who is your main villain? Satan. It's not Tom down the road. it's Satan. Okay. So I don't try to sugarcoat it or anything. It's you can see right there, Satan. So Oleander notices the two men or the three men there, and she's talking to Satan, asking him like, who are they? And it says that the Martinez family, the chosen warriors, and they're basically God's chosen warriors, right? And she's like, well, what should we do? And he says every man has his price, and he tells her, you find his, right? He vanishes. So it goes into kind of like a little bit of her background story. They don't like the word pleasure. They think it's not strong enough or whatever. But the word that they choose is really dumb. I'm going to see if it'll pop up for you. Glee. Now, in this situation, it's not so bad. She took glee, and I guess I could do it because it's not so bad here. But sometimes, like when someone says, for example, it's my pleasure, they want you to take the word pleasure out and put it's my glee. Have you ever heard someone say it's my glee? That sounds so stupid to me. So computer doesn't know, right? So it says she focused primarily on, now they don't like the word primarily because it has, you know why, it's an adverb. So they want to take this word off. So I would just, instead of like them changing the whole sentence, you could just change it to like, and they still may have a problem with this, but I could just take it out, period. She focused on bringing down the leader. Okay, so she's focusing on taking down the leader. So who does she... let's see. Okay. But then it goes into... So she makes her plan that she's going to go after the leader first. That's a plan. Actually, she doesn't go after the leader, though. Let me see. Okay. And then it goes into, this is like a scene change, and it goes like a flashback. So I'm like, that to me is kind of confusing for the reader. You're in this club, that's where your mind is. So I think I want to keep the reader there, right? So now I need to either move or delete. Now the easy thing would just be to delete it. But I really like what it says. It basically tells her background story. She's Ukrainian. Her real name is Olena Tesler, and she was sold. Her aunt, Eva Tesler, convinced her parents of the prestigious opportunity, including a top-notch education in America. Olena's trusting parents had Trusting parents had not known of the danger they were allowing their only daughter to enter. Eva, the sister of Olena's father, was then noticed by the Belladonna Secret Society, an international underground criminal organization under the umbrella of Satan's Knights. Eva had been ordered to bring in a young girl to be molded into a conniving harlot. Olena had learned the brutality of life and had risen in rank, now holding the title of Death Flower, Oleander, a poisonous flower known to paralyze the heart of its victim. Not only was the name similar to the first few letters of her name, but the essence of the flower matched her own. Olena was now the walking embodiment of the poisonous oleander plant. I really like that, and I don't want to delete that. I think that's a really great and interesting backstory. But now I have to kind of say, like, where do I weave this in to keep the reader here and present in what's going on? So I think what I do is I'm going to move it. I'm going to take this off so there's no scene change. My computer don't want to work with me right now. I don't know why it's being butt cheek. Okay. We're going to take this. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to add something to this. said that taking down the bridge would be a breeze. Okay, it's just computer's glitching. Okay. You see that young girl with the blonde hair staring at us, Tamaris pointed out. Yeah, what about her? Maxwell looked at the woman he didn't want to give her. Okay, so she's looking at them. Tamaris was like, this chick is trouble. And she starts heading towards them. And Ronald is taking note that she looks very young. He says, how old is she? 16? And he's alarmed by this because he's like, she looks like she's too young to be in this place. And then Maxwell is trying to really speak to his detective mind. Is she even legal to be in this place? Like kind of like, hey dude, like wake up. Wake up. And then she overhears them talking. And says, oh boys, don't concern yourself with my age. She appeared within earshot of their conversation. I assure you, officer, I'm a perfect age. Right for the plucking. She's her seductive charm. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Basically, she gets a little scandalous, okay? Tamaris says, we'll take your word for it. And he's trying to pull Ronald back. Because Ronald is falling for her little trick, hook, line, and sinker, right? So Tamaris is like, okay, we gotta get Ronald out of here. So he's trying to pull Ronald back. The young woman turned around to face them. Her eyes now locked on Ronald. So she shifted her target. How did you know I am a... Ronald stopped by a sudden urge to cough. So here, I'm going to switch this out here. And let's see, this is going to be a little complicated to show. We're going to do our best. Okay, so I'm going to put it back. I'm going to paste it back in here so that I know where I'm going with this, right? But this is all going to change. So Ronald looked at the woman in the face and their eyes now locked on Ronald. Oops. I keep forgetting to put my stuff in there. Okay, so yeah. Let's see. Shoot. Oops. This reminds me of like I used to play the piano when I was younger, and every time I hit a wrong key, I would say oops. So when I was learning to play a new song, you hear oops, oops. So freaking annoying. I know it drove my mom crazy. I'm going to help her. It just made this chapter much longer. The brothers. Oops. Yeah, come back to that. I was probably spelling oleander wrong. Yeah. Forgetting letters. Oleanders. I have to check that. It smells smirk wrong. Okay, instead, nothing. So now we're going to be able to include her story. Wait, did she say her age? At 12 o'clock, you came sold her aunt Eva, including top-notch educator. Okay, so to think, how should I put it? Yeah, you know what? Let's change this. That sold me. Okay, so we're gonna leave out this part. Eva had been ordered to bring young girls. Okay. Because of course nobody's gonna tell their whole thing. Not if you're trying to manipulate somebody. So, Eva sold me. Let me see what happens. Obsession with capital and poison into his mouth. That's why you gotta be careful in these clubs. You can't be just like thinking everybody's safe. Okay, I know why they have a problem with that. And lower. We'll deal with that later. Okay. So now, let's see what does early in there. So not only was it blah blah blah. A poison flower known to paralyze the heart of its victim. Okay, so now we're going to delete this. And now I got to change it because he says, how do you know I am a... Because that was like what I cut off before. Okay, please help me, Mr. Officer. How do you know I am a... And then he says, Ronald was stopped by a sudden urge to cough. Are you all right? Maxwell placed his hand on Ronald's back. Something's in my throat. Perfect. See how that works out? Something's in my throat. He fought out the words between coughs. Bathrooms right down the hall. Orlando sported a devilish glee. She knew what was causing his sudden coughing attack. Easy targets were not. See, so that just smoothed that hole out. So I kept the reader in the club, in the scene, present, and I still was able to tell her backstory. Leaving out some minor details, like that kind of unfolds as you read along. So, well, tell me what you think. This is how I developmental edit. This is how I go over things. So sometimes this process may take me a couple hours just working one chapter. If there's like something like this does take a little time. And some of the things may not be that bad. I was like, oh, okay, I got it right the first round. Go round, you know. So let me know what you think. If you have any questions, please comment below. I will do my best to answer them. If I don't know the answer, we'll figure it out together, and then we'll both know. So I hope that this helps you on your writing journey. If you're thinking about writing a book, or if you're like me and you're always interested in how the author came up with the story, or how all the fun stuff behind the book. That's something I always enjoy learning. So maybe you're like me, or maybe you're an author also, you're a self-published author and you're looking for different things. Yes, I spelled dominatrix wrong. Not worried about it. We'll figure that out later. So I hope you enjoy, and thank you for tuning in.